Hey y'all. So I told y'all I would eventually tell y'all the story about how I was homeless during my last semester of college. So I don't know, I just feel like telling that story now, so I'm gonna tell it. So I'm not ashamed to say that I get a voucher to pay my rent, which is a blessing because that voucher allowed me to go back to college. I got my voucher in 2017, and at that time, I was making about $1,200 a month, and my bills before like gas and food were about 1,000. So I pretty much had to choose between working to have a roof over my head or going to school to build a better life for myself. So having a voucher allowed me to have a roof over my head because my rent is income based and go back to school. So now I'm making more money, so I'm good. But for a while, like that's what the situation was. So anyway, moved into my first apartment November 2017. I liked it. I got a 2-bedroom apartment, 1 bedroom my art studio. Cool, whatever. So it came time to renew my lease, and the property I was living on was a tax credit property. They had like certain income restrictions and regulations and other things that you must follow in order to live there. That's separate than me getting my voucher. So the voucher is one thing, and then the apartment has their own regulations. So they had their recertification process, and I knew about it, but I did not know this part. So basically, I went to the office to fill out my recertification paperwork. I had all my documents and stuff. And the property manager was like, don't forget to add your school information. I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. Come to find out that you cannot be a full-time student and live in a tax credit property. Like, your name can't be on the lease by itself. And I was just like, what? I didn't know that, because when I started living there, I wasn't a full-time student. I went back to school because I had the apartment. So they pretty much told me they were not going to renew my lease, and I had 30 days to move out. So I was all stressed out. Like, this is November 2018. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I was like, does it matter? I graduate in May. Like, does it really matter? She was like, it's above me, whatever, like that. So she sent me a letter, because we talked about it that same day when I was there. And she sent me a letter pretty much saying I have 30 days to, leave the premises. But the gag is, the letter did not have a date on it. So what I decided to do was wait until after what my 30 days would have been and go to the leasing office and say, hey, guess what? This letter does not have a date on it, so therefore you can't enforce it. But the leasing office was like closed. They was real trifling, so they was always closing for like stupid stuff. So it really wound up being like 45 days before I even talked to somebody about there being no letter on the day, or no date on the letter. So then my friend tells me, hey, they can't give you 30 days, they have to give you at least 60. So now I went from having 30 days to having 60 days to having more days, just because the letter didn't have a date on it. So when I finally talked to the lady, she was so upset with me. She was like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, first of all, it is not my job to make sure you have a date on this letter. Number one. Number two, I don't really want to move. I don't have the money to move. I don't have the time to move. I don't have the energy to move. Why would I do anything to make the move faster? Like, what? So, anyway, I got my letter with a date on it, like mid-December. So I'm stressed out about finding a place. I know my credit is terrible. I know I don't really have the money to move, but I'm looking for places or whatever. I had money set aside. I applied to a good 5 or 6 places, and I kept getting denied. And thinking back at it now, I probably should have went about this totally different. But when you're paying like $25 application fees for each place, it's like, dang, like I spent like $200 application fees. So then when I was going to the apartments, I was like, so what are your requirements for for credit scores? And they're like, we don't know, we just got to run your credit. I was like, somebody here knows. Like, y'all send the regulations to the whatever credit bureau, you tell them what your standards are, and they follow it based on my credit. So somebody in this corporate office knows. I didn't get any answers for real. Anyway, so I found this apartment. It was downtown Silver Spring. Really liked the apartment. The people in the office was really nice. And so they ran my credit score. They were like, so the reason why you keep getting denied is because you have something on your credit for another apartment. And I was like, I've never had another apartment. This is my first apartment. This is my second apartment. My last apartment, I was in good standing with them. The only reason why I'm leaving is because of the tax credit thing. There was nothing wrong with my lease. There was nothing wrong with me not paying my rent, like none of that stuff. So she tells me it's from CMRC. Anybody that go to Bowie know that CMRC Bowie Place is on Bowie campus. So I guess technically it's student apartments, but it's still like student housing or whatever. So when I got kicked out of Bowie and I moved out abruptly, I guess I still owed them money. So they put that on my credit report, and I was just kind of telling them, I was just like, it's kind of not really real. It's like student housing, and that was like when I was 22, 21. So they were like, well, if you pay this, then we'll let you move into our property. So I'm like, okay, this is like the most promising thing that I've had so far. I've been denied for like 5 or 6 places. Let me just go with this. So the money that I owed Bowie Place was $467. And I was just like, ugh, I kind of don't have that right now, because I had like $800 saved up for a security deposit and movers. So if I take this over half of the money I have saved up and use it to pay for this debt, which would have been paid eventually, but it's not on my radar right now. My concern is finding safe housing. I'm not worried about no old debt right now. But I'm like, all right, I paid it, got a receipt of payment, sent them the email. Mind you, they told me all this through email too. Like, I have it recorded. So I sent them the email, and they were like, oh, we have to run your credit again. I was like, what? That's not what your last email said. You said if I paid this debt off, that you'll let me move in, because that was what was holding me back. And now you're telling me you have to run my credit again. Like, what? So pissed. So they ran my credit. I get an email denying me. I called them back and I was like, yo, what's up? Like, we talked about this. You emailed me, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, your credit is still not good. And I was just like, I cussed them out. I'm not going to lie. Pastor, if you watch this video, I did cuss them out. I was very stressed out. So I cussed them out. I was pissed. But I'm just like, they don't really care. They just doing their job. They're leasing office. They don't care about my struggle. They don't care about me wasting money to pay this debt. They don't care. So my frustration was just mine. It wasn't, they didn't care about that. So, my move out date for my apartment, I think, was like February 15th. So I go to the people at HOC, because they give you a voucher to pay your rent, but you choose wherever you want to live. Wherever you want to live is up to you. It's not like an actual property. Like, you have to choose where you want to live. So I went back to them. I was like, hey, I'm having a hard time finding an apartment. I'm supposed to be leaving my apartment in 2 days. I don't have anywhere to go. So then I find out from them that I can't move out in the middle of the month, because they already paid my rent. So whatever contract HOC has with my apartment complex says that you cannot evict or make one of our tenants move in the middle of the month, because technically their rent is all paid until the end of the month. So then I bought myself another 2 weeks. So in that 2 weeks, I'm stressing out. I'm trying to find a place. I wound up moving out of my apartment and putting my stuff in a storage unit. And I was homeless. I did not have anywhere to live. I was couch surfing with different people at my church for like 2 weeks. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. I am taking 9 classes, working overnight, interning, and trying to grow my business. I can't be traveling from all the way in PG County to Montgomery County every day at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Plus I'm working overnight. It was just too much. And I was very stressed out. I was like crying every night. I did not know what was going to happen. So somebody blessed me, and I pretty much wind up moving on campus in the dorm. And at WAU, Washington Adventist University, they only have 1 female dorm, 1 men dorm. Like, it's not like other bigger schools. They have different options for different student housing. So because somebody was helping me get this place, I can't really talk about the logistics. I had to go with whatever was there. So I wound up moving in one of the dorms, the dorm I worked at. And it is very humbling going from being a fully grown adult, 28 years old, living by yourself, to living in a dorm again. Like, those girls were nasty. Like, it was just so trifling all the time. I'm just like, oh my God, it's like staying in the toilet and pads and blood. Ew, y'all trifling. So anyway, so I'm still stressing because I'm trying to find a place. So another thing, it's like all these different whatever. So another regulation with HOC is when you get your voucher, you have 90 days to find a place. If you don't find a place within 90 days, you lose your voucher. So by this time, I'm at like almost 60 days. I'm running out of time. I'm stressed out because I'm like, I'm about to graduate, but I'm about to also be homeless for whatever amount of time. So I'm missing class because I'm going to different agencies trying to find assistants, trying to find someone somewhere that can help me get an apartment. So I'm missing a lot of class, and most of my teachers understood. They knew what was going on. They knew I was homeless, so they were very understanding. I had one teacher that was not trying to hear it when I was like missing class, and because I have mental illness, I have anxiety, I have a reasonable accommodation. So which means I get extra time on tests. If I miss class, I don't have to give you a reason why I'm missing class because I have anxiety. My doctor wrote a letter for the school. The school's disability advocate wrote a letter for my teachers. They did not have to disclose anything about my illness. They just said in the letter, it says if she misses class, she gets to make up her work. So I went to my teacher and was like, hey, yeah, I missed class. What was the assignments due? She was trying to tell me I couldn't make up the assignments. And I was just like, no, that's against the law. You have this letter saying if I miss class due to my whatever disability that you don't know about, you don't have to know about it, I gotta make up my work. So I had to contact the disability advocate at school, have him talk to her, and then I got to make up my work. But that was the only teacher that gave me a hard time. So anyway, a week before graduation, I got approved for an apartment. Thank God. And so yeah, that's the story about how I was homeless for from March 1st to the end of April 2019, and I graduated May 5th, a week after I got an apartment. So yes, y'all, as y'all know, I've been through a lot. I got a lot of stories, and yeah. Bye.